This is a 2023 Acura Integra. That's right, it's back after a 22-year hiatus, or 16 years if you count the Acura RSX. The Acura Integra is back. Man, that feels good to say. Technically speaking, this is the 4th generation Acura Integra, but in a lot of ways, this is just a brand new car. And just like the original Integra, which came out in 1986, this is a hatchback. Right now, they are 5-door hatchbacks only, but hey, who knows? Now, the fact that Acura is bringing out a new entry-level vehicle into its lineup might not be that big of a deal for some, perhaps many, but for me, it is a very, very big deal because when I was a lot younger, I owned a 5-door 1989 Acura Integra with its mighty 1.8 liter pumping out 118 horsepower, and I had a 5-speed manual transmission, and that car just completely changed my perspective on cars. It was reliable, it was fun, and it was dynamic. I did road trips in that car. I commuted in that car, of course. I towed a jet ski with that car, and I autocrossed that car. All those things it did well. So it really just gave me a whole new perspective on what the car can do for you and how you can enjoy yourself in one. In that vein, if you think my review is unfairly biased in any way, shape, or form, hey, I've given you that warning. This particular Integra is an A-Spec with the technology package painted in liquid carbon metallic, which is a premium paint costing an extra $500. And that makes this the top of 3 trims offered in the Integra, above the base and A-Spec trims. The A-Spec trim is nice because you can get 18-inch wheels and the lip spoiler and a couple things like that, so it does dress up the Integra a little bit, but the technology package is where it's at, because that's where you get adaptive shock absorbers, an individual drive mode, so a 4th drive mode, and the option for a manual transmission, a 6-speed manual transmission, a Honda 6-speed manual transmission, which is so good. It is so good. I'm Robin Warner, by the way, an experienced engineer and magazine editor, and I feel young again. Oh, my back. I review all kinds of cars, from a $25,000 Ford Maverick to a $425,000 Rolls-Royce Cullinan. I'll happily jump into Honda Accords, BMW M3s, and Porsche 911 GT3s. And I have fun every time. Please subscribe and join me. The base price for an Acura Integra is $31,895. Going A-Spec adds $2,000 to the price, so $33,895. And if you add the technology package on top of that, that adds another $3,000 for $36,895. The manual transmission is optional, but it is a no-cost option. With that, I think this is a good time to pull over and take a closer look outside and inside of this brand new Acura Integra. Looking at the car from the front, there are a few things that stand out right away. We've got a nice, loud and proud Acura badge right there. Probably behind it is some adaptive cruise control sensors. And we have this new frameless diamond pentagon grille. It's got some new accents to it, a slightly different shape to it. And the thing I like about it the most is that it's not too big. It's not this massive part of the front fascia. So it's a tasteful size grille, and I think that makes it look really good. We've also got an aluminum hood, and behind the body, aluminum front bumper beam to save weight up front. I do quite like that Acura included the Integra embossed into the front bumper, and just in case you forget, it says Acura just above it in these headlights. These headlights, by the way, are called jewel eye headlights, and they have 4 elements to them, 1, 2, 3, 4 down there. And down here, there's some pockets to allow some air in, fog lights, and you could call this kind of an integrated lip spoiler if you want. Overall, I think this is a very nice looking front end. Looking at the car in profile, we've got a nice steeply raked windshield going into this kind of sloping roof line into the lift back right here. And we have what I'll call a tasteful lip spoiler in back. I do like the integrated rear fender flares right here, and there's a nice character line that flows from the very back of the window trim on the way down through the door handles to the front flare right there. And we've got this matte black window trim right here, which I think is a nice look. Now, if you get a base Integra, that's going to be chrome. Generally speaking, we have this nice long wheelbase and fairly short overhangs in the front and the rear. I'll go ahead and put the dimensions on the screen right now so you can see that. You know, this is very close in shape and size to the Honda Civic Si. I'll elaborate on that just a little bit more later in the video. And the structure within this body is quite interesting. We have an aluminum front subframe under here to help save weight in front. And Acura very deliberately made the front track more than an inch narrower than the rear track. And that allows you to be a little bit more aggressive with the tuning of the suspension, which I very much appreciate. Also, briefly, I do have a full set of specs in the description. Because this is an A-spec Acura Integra, we have 18-inch wheels instead of 17s, but both versions do run on all-season tires. Now, Acura calls them performance all-season tires, and that is true. That is a designation in tires, but they're still all seasons. But I do think this is a nice looking double 5-spoke wheel, and I like the dark gray finish on them. And you can see that we have decent sized front brake rotors there to work with, and the rears aren't bad either. Now, if you want to go even bigger than this, Acura is offering 19-inch wheels as a dealer accessory. Looking at the car from the back, again, nice tasteful subtle lip spoiler right here, perfectly sized Acura badge, Integra embossed right into the rear bumper right there, which I like, and dual exhaust tips here and here. Real lovely, quite like that. I also like the shape of the taillights, and you know, I could do without this like faux rear diffuser look at the edge here. This is just, I think, a touch much, but generally speaking, I think it's a very sharp rear end, and overall, I think Acura did a good job with the styling of the car. But since we're back here, why don't we take a look at cargo space? You get 24 cubic feet of storage back here. It does fall pretty significantly down from this fairly high entry lip right here. And beneath here is just a little bit of additional storage. And if you need more than 24 cubic feet of storage and don't have to carry people in back, of course you have that option. And now you have more than 24 cubic feet of storage and space for two. All right, let's check out the inside. 5-door hatchback. Space, as you can tell, it's not bad. It's not great, but there's something there. I am 5'11" or 181 centimeters tall, and I've got, I don't know, 3 to 4 inches of knee room, so plenty there. But the seat bottom is pretty low, so I do have more than a 90-degree bend in my knees. That is not going to be great for longer trips. You do, however, get 2 USB charge ports back here, and, you know, decent space. I have headroom, barely, and I do have a center armrest with a couple of cup holders. Hey, hey, hey. But anyway, let's go check out the front. I do like the red with the dark. I think that's a lovely contrast. And I do like these faux suede inserts in the center of the seat to help hold you in place. And more importantly, look at these nice and big deep bolsters up here, and pretty darn deep bolsters down low as well. Because this is a tech package Integra, I do have 12-way power adjustment in the seat, including 4-way lumbar adjust right here, 8-way with the other stuff here. We also have a nice metal A-spec kick plate, and look at these lovely A-spec floor mats as well. If you look up just a little bit, those are stainless steel pedals right there, and you get those on A-spec and above Integras. And check it out, 1, 2, 3 pedals. Oh yeah. The technology package does get this nice 16-speaker sound system, as well as 2-position seat memory and the usual functions right here. Traction control off button is right here, and these are vents that will look somewhat familiar to you if you've seen the 11th generation Honda Civic. Not the same, but similar. What you see with that lit up Acura emblem right there is the standard across the board 10.2-inch instrument cluster screen that Acura calls the Acura Precision Cockpit. Lovely, lovely name. But because we have the technology package, we also have a 5.3-inch color head-up display right there. The steering wheel itself has plenty of controls on it, adaptive cruise stuff right there, A-spec badging down there, and some media functions right there. But more importantly, it's a nice leather material with a good thick rim, easy to hold on to for, you know, maybe a corner or two. Push button start. Because we have the technology package, we have the 9-inch center console touchscreen right there, and that includes wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Standard is a 7-inch screen, and you still get Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, but it is wired. We do have dual zone climate control right there. We also have heated seats, and that is standard across the board, and some more USB ports and a standard charging port right there. And because this is a tech package, we also have Qi wireless smartphone charging right there. Very nice. Look at that glorious 6-speed manual transmission right there. And we do have an electric parking brake. Here are your drive modes, which I'll talk about in just a moment. Down further, we have a couple cup holders and some extra storage down there. Looking up, we do get a sunglasses holder and a moonroof with a manual opening privacy panel. Just like any modern car, we do of course get drive modes, but unlike most cars, because we have adaptive shock absorbers, the different drive modes make some significant difference to how the car feels. You do get 4 drive modes because we have the tech package, so that means we have comfort, normal, sport, and if I look over here and look down here, I press this for individual. And just real quick to see how I set up individual, press and hold. One more thing to show you. The Acura Integra offers rev matching, but you can turn it on and off. So I'm going to show you where that is. Second screen, vehicle settings, drive assist system setup. And you can see you have a lot of options in turning on and off a lot of the driver assist systems, which I appreciate. But scroll down here, rev match system. I typically don't like rev matching that much, but I want to show you how it works, so I'm going to turn that system back on. Speaking of which, the best way to show you that system is while we're driving, so let's get back to the drive. All right, let's dig into the powertrain. What we have here is a turbocharged 1.5-liter engine that makes 200 horsepower and 192 pound-feet of torque. It is basically plucked directly from the 2022 Honda Civic Si, and that is not a bad thing. And in actuality, this turbocharged 1.5-liter makes itself known in a lot of Honda products. Most notably is the Honda Accord. Most Honda Accord trims run some version of this 1.5-liter engine. The 200 horsepower and 192 pound-feet of torque come at 6,000 RPM and between 1,800 and 5,000 RPM respectively. So we have a nice, broad peak torque range and a decently high peak horsepower range. Redline is 6,500 RPM, which is just a tiny bit above average for modern turbo engines, so I'll definitely take it. However, it should be noted the Integra is 1.8 inches longer than a Civic Si and weighs 120 more pounds. One unfortunate thing about having the technology package Integra is this does come with active sound control, which is something I'm not typically a fan of. I just want the engine to sound like an engine, and that be the end of it. Tune it the way you want, company, but then don't play with the stereo system to make it change. Anyway, the good news here, as this is not some massive change, and when you're in sport mode, which is the, liveliest sounding version of it, it still sounds pretty darn good. So I already told you that you can get a 6-speed manual transmission in this car, which is a very, very good thing. The other transmission available is a continuously variable transmission, or CVT, and Honda CVTs are fine. CVTs aren't great transmissions in general, but they are relatively efficient, and Honda's version of that transmission is among the better ones. But I am very happy to be in a 6-speed manual transmission myself, and for this particular transmission, Acura does include a rev matching feature, which you can turn on or off, as I showed you. So we're currently in high gear here, but I'll downshift to third. Now second. And you could hear it rev match on its own, no problem. All right, I'll do it from 6th to 2nd in one fell swoop. Easy. If you're still working on perfecting rev matching on your own, it's good to have the system to always give you those perfect rev matching shifts. But to me, the whole point of a manual transmission, especially in modern cars, is to have more engagement in the car, and I want to do everything, so I generally have rev matching off. Anyway, more good news. Not only do you have the 6-speed manual transmission, but you also have a helical limited slip diff that distributes power evenly between the two front wheels, because yes, this is a front wheel drive car. And having the limited slip diff is just proper evidence that Acura put real effort into making this a proper driver's car, and harken back to the days of the sport compact coupe that I so dearly enjoyed. This is a fantastic engine. Honda was a little late to come into the turbocharger game, but they really got very good at it, and you have that really broad torque band, 1800 to 5000 RPM of peak torque of 192 pound-feet. That's very stout, and that gives you a lot of options in terms of whether you want to stay in a higher gear and let the torque pull you along, or shift quickly because you have fast shifting. So this is a fantastic powertrain, very dynamic and easy to suit your own personal tastes. I loved it in the Honda Civic Si, and I love it in this brand new Acura Integra. One tiny little downside to having the manual transmission is it does offer the worst fuel economy in the Integra. You get 26 miles to the gallon in the city, 36 miles to the gallon on the highway, 30 combined. Now, if you get the base Integra that has the 17-inch wheels and the CVT, that bumps up to 30 miles to the gallon in the city, 37 on the highway, 33 combined. But hey, it's still good numbers for a car of this size. 36 miles to the gallon on the interstate is stout. I will happily take those numbers with no complaints. While fuel economy is important, it is way more fun to accelerate, especially when you have a turbocharged engine and a helical limited slip differential to help you out, and you get to shift on your own. I know I keep saying that, and I'm going to continue to keep saying that. Let me show you how well this car accelerates. All right, time for an acceleration test. I do have the car in sport drive mode, and I have the traction control in reduced. I don't know exactly what that means, but we're going to give it a go. And I also have a manual transmission, so gear changes are on me. All right, come to a complete stop. Not too many engine revs. This is front wheel drive, and lighting up the tires isn't going to get us anywhere. So let's see how it goes. That was under 2,500 RPM, and that was still plenty of torque to light up the tires. Oh, but good scoot. Great little engine. Yeah, I mean, to be blunt, it feels just like it did in the Civic Si, and it felt really good there too. This is a great little engine, really nice mid-range power, good revs for a turbo engine, 6,500 RPM. So it's not fast, but it is definitely quick, definitely fun, and you get a nice sound from the engine. So yeah, great acceleration from this Acura Integra A-Spec. Yeah, that was good fun in this car, and really, active sound control, it spits out a decent soundtrack, it must be said. But acceleration is just one strength of this Integra, and it is not the biggest strength. Of course, it is much more fun to take some corners. You do get a strut front suspension and a multi-link rear suspension. It is four-wheel independent, but because this is the A-Spec with the tech package, we get, like I mentioned, those adaptive shock absorbers, so the different drive modes really do make a difference and sharpen up this car really nicely. Of course I had to test it. Let me show you how this car handles. All right, everybody, time for a handling test. I do have the Integra in sport mode, and I have the traction control reduced, and I have a manual transmission and adjustable suspension. Let's see how it goes. All season tires, but good chassis balance. Yes. Oh, this is just how a car should be. It's fun. Oh, man. So lively. Oh, man. Yeah, what a great first impression. I mean, come on. That was so easy. That was so easy and pleasant and enjoyable. Just what a small compact car should feel like. Front engine, front wheel drive, but just a really nice, active, lively, lithe chassis. Allows you to play around and feel good. Definitely worth another go around. Oh man, does this bring me back to my youth? Man, oh man, Acura Integra. Even just saying those words, that's something. But then to feel the car and have it feel alive and active in your hands like it did all those years ago, back when they were around the first time. It's just so good. So, objectively speaking, we do not have tons of grip because we are on all-season tires here. But we do have really nice chassis balance. We have those adjustable shock absorbers, so body roll, pitch and dive is really well controlled. So you have a nice even keel all the way through the corner. You can feel the chassis interaction. The front to rear balance is good, and it's easy to power down out of a corner and have those front tires sing for you a little bit. Front end response is sharp. Turn in is good. You have a nice fast steering rack that is nicely weighted as well. Really a lot of fun across the board. This is a great handling little car. Lively, fun. Man, oh man, yeah, I just want to do that some more. I mean, yeah, that's where this car belongs. On twisty roads, spirited driving, just you in the car enjoying yourself. But alas, I'm an adult now, and I have to do adult things, and my guess is the vast majority of the people that are going to buy this car are also going to be adults that have to do adult things, and all that will make you curious to know how this thing rides and what it's like on the interstate. Well, again, because we have the adaptive shock absorbers, it's totally pleasant. You put this car in comfort mode, things soften up, and it goes over heaves and bumps and potholes in the road with no trouble at all. It is a touch on the firm side compared to a standard sedan, but it is never harsh and, in my opinion, always pleasant. And that is true on roads like this or on the interstate. And yes, I did test it there, so let me show you that now. All right, time for a test on the interstate. I got the traction control back on. I am now in the comfort driving mode, and we've got some modern driving aids to play with as well. Yes, even on an Integra. So let's see how it goes. Okay, I've got the cruise control set going with traffic right around 78 miles an hour. At 78 miles an hour, we are spinning the engine at a relatively high 3,200 RPM. This is a 6-speed manual transmission, so we have fewer gears to choose from, but I am definitely not complaining about that. Besides, the engine noise is relatively quiet and in the background. I think eventually it would get a little drony, but as long as the trips aren't super long, it's totally fine. Adaptive cruise control is on and does operate relatively smoothly, so all of that's good. Now we do have some lane keep assist and some other things. That's a separate button to turn on, so I'll try that right now. And on the display, on the screen, you can see 2 green lines in between an image of the Integra to show you where you are in the lane. And if I take my hands off the wheel, yep, the steering is definitely playing around. We're following a curve right now, and I've got my hands off the wheel, and it's following the curve. And I do have to say, this is really good lane centering. And I haven't seen it done this well other than Toyota's Lexus lane tracing assist. So this is really nice to see that Acura's system keeps you truly right in the center of the lane. In terms of driving aids, of course, we have a bunch of them. I'll go ahead and put them on the screen right now so you can check that out. You know, It's par for the course these days. No way around it, really. Much more fundamentally, in the comfort driving mode, the shock absorbers have a totally different tune, so it goes over bumps and heaves just fine, but it's not super soft or anything like that, so you still have relatively good body control. All the screens are easy to read, the instrument cluster and the center console touchscreen, and wind noise and road noise is a touch high for an Acura product in general, but I think it's good overall, and I would have no problem doing a road trip in this car. No problem at all. I really like Integras. Acura did it. Acura did it. We are finally getting to a place where Acura, the brand we learned to love as car enthusiasts back in the 80s and 90s, is truly returning to that core of itself. The TLX Type S, the MDX Type S, and now an Acura Integra. This, to me, more than any other decision that that brand has made, shows that it truly is returning to its roots of giving you more performance and more driver engagement compared to your standard Hondas. And standard Hondas are genuinely quite good at that. Yes, I will admit that I started off a little frustrated that we didn't get any extra power compared to a Honda Civic Si. And there is part of me that wishes this was a little bit smaller, not a little bit larger than the Civic, and as a result, a bit lighter as well. But there are a couple things to keep in mind. This is just the opening act of the return of the Integra. A-Spec with technology package, and we're already in a really good place in terms of driving dynamics and acceleration and driver engagement. There's gonna be a performance version of this car. It's gonna come. It has to come. If I had to guess, it's probably gonna say Type S on it, but secretly, I would really, really love it if it said GSR on it. Here's what I know. This is the foundation for that. This is a fantastic foundation. This car weighs less than 3,100 pounds. This car is quick, it's agile, it's spirited, and most importantly, it engages with the driver, just as the original Integra did, just as all Acuras today should. I'm Robin Warner, thank you for watching. And if you are still watching, I would really appreciate it if you liked this video. Doing that really helps me out. Okay, goodbye. Oh, come on, second gear. I'm still young!